Why money is never just about money. Most people think money is about numbers, income, interest rates, returns, budgets. But if that were true, the smartest people would always be the richest, and they're not. Some people with average intelligence build massive wealth. Others with elite education lose everything. And the difference isn't math, it's behavior. In this video, we're going to explore how people actually behave with money, why rational decisions often fail in real life, and how psychology, not spreadsheets, determines financial success, failure, happiness, and freedom. You'll learn why no one is crazy with money, how luck and risk quietly shape every outcome, why chasing more can destroy everything, how time beats talent in building wealth, and how true financial success often stays invisible. This isn't about getting rich quick. It's about understanding money deeply enough to keep it protected and use it to live on your own terms. Before we begin, take a second to subscribe, because this video might completely change how you think about money for the rest of your life. Section 1. No one is crazy with money. People do strange things with money. Some people overspend even when they know they shouldn't. Others panic and sell at the worst possible moment. Some gamble, chasing quick wins. Others hoard cash, terrified of losing even a small amount. And many people avoid investing altogether. Not because of a bad idea, but because fear feels stronger than logic. From the outside, these behaviors often look irrational, even foolish. But here's the truth that changes everything. No one is crazy with money. Every financial decision you make is shaped by your personal history long before it ever becomes a calculation. It's shaped by where you grew up, the environment you lived in, and the examples you saw as a child. It's influenced by what your parents earned, how they talk about money, whether they argue about it, feared it, or treated it as something scarce or abundant. It's also shaped by the economic events you lived through. Someone who experienced high inflation will think very differently about saving and investing than someone who grew up in stable times. Someone who lived through unemployment, debt, or financial collapse will see risk as something dangerous, not exciting. And someone who has never experienced real financial stress may see opportunities where others only see threats. Your personal experiences may represent only a tiny fraction of everything that has happened in the world, but they make up most of how you believe the world works. They form the mental map you use to judge risk, opportunity, and safety. That's why two equally intelligent people can look at the exact same investment with the same information and come to completely opposite conclusions. Not because one of them is stupid or uninformed, but because they've lived different lives. This is why judging other people's financial choices is usually pointless. What looks reckless to you might feel logical, even necessary, to someone else. What looks conservative to you might feel irresponsible to another person who has lived through loss. Everyone is acting based on a story they tell themselves, a story built from their own experiences, fears, and hopes. Money decisions are rarely made in spreadsheets. They're not made calmly, with perfect data and no emotion. They're made at dinner tables, late at night, when bills are due and futures feel uncertain. They're made in moments of fear, hope, pressure, pride, envy, and insecurity. They're made while thinking about family, status, survival, and dignity, not just numbers. When you truly understand this, something powerful happens. You become calmer with your own decisions. You stop feeling the need to copy others or prove anything. You become more patient when things don't go as planned. And perhaps most importantly, you become far less judgmental toward others and toward yourself. Because once you realize that no one is crazy with money, you start focusing less on being right and more on making decisions that make sense for your life, your history, and your reality. Section 2. Luck and Risk. The invisible forces. Every financial outcome in life is influenced by forces that sit far beyond your control. No matter how disciplined you are, how intelligent your decisions seem, or how hard you work, there are always elements operating in the background that you never see coming. That invisible element is luck. And standing right beside it, inseparable and equally powerful, is its twin sibling, risk. We naturally want the world to feel fair and logical. We love to believe that success is a direct result of talent, effort, and smart choices. While failure must be caused by poor decisions or lack of discipline, it's comforting to think this way because it gives us a sense of control. But reality is far messier than that. Two people can make the exact same decision based on the same information at the same time. One of them ends up wealthy, praised, and admired. The other ends up struggling, ignored, or even judged as irresponsible, not because one was smarter or more deserving, but because the coin simply landed on a different side. The world is far too complex for effort alone to determine outcomes. Timing matters more than we like to admit. Being early or late by just a few years can change everything. Location matters. The country you live in, the system you operate under, the opportunities available around you. The people you meet, often by pure chance, can open doors or close them forever. Even the era you're born into can shape your entire financial destiny in ways no amount of hard work can fully overcome. This doesn't mean that skill, discipline, or intelligence are irrelevant. They matter a great deal, but they are not the whole story. And believing they are can make you arrogant in success and cruel in judgment. What truly matters is humility. The ability to recognize that good outcomes are never entirely earned, and bad outcomes are not always deserved. When things go well, it's important to remember that success is rarely as solid or permanent as it feels in the moment. Luck has a way of disguising itself as talent, and confidence can quietly turn into overconfidence. And when things go badly, it's just as important to remember that failure is rarely as final or as personal as it seems. Risk has a way of punishing even good decisions from time to time. The goal of managing money is not to eliminate risk. That's impossible, and try to do so often creates even greater danger. The real goal is survival. It's about structuring your financial life in a way that allows you to stay in the game, absorb setbacks, and keep going long enough for luck to eventually work in your favor. Because in a world shaped by invisible forces, endurance is often the greatest advantage of all. Section 3. Never Enough. The Dangerous Game. One of the most destructive and underestimated forces in finance is the inability to say a simple word, enough. It's not a lack of opportunity that ruins most people, and it's rarely desperation alone. More often, people lose everything not because they had too little, but because they already had more than enough and still wanted more. This is where the game becomes dangerous. When the goalpost keeps moving, satisfaction never arrives. Every financial milestone immediately turns into a new baseline. What once felt like success quickly becomes normal, and what was once unimaginable becomes expected. More money raises expectations, and higher expectations quietly demand higher risk. What felt safe yesterday suddenly feels insufficient today. Social comparison pours fuel on this fire. No matter how much you earn, there is always someone earning more. No matter how high you climb, there is always another level above you. The ceiling of comparison is infinite, which means the race can never truly be won. The moment your sense of worth becomes tied to how you rank against others, contentment disappears, replaced by pressure, anxiety, and an endless hunger for more. This is why the only real way to win this game is not to play it at all. Stepping away from constant comparison isn't weakness, it's clarity. Say enough doesn't mean giving up on growth or ambition. It means defining your own finish line instead of chasing someone else's. It means understanding that progress without a stopping point eventually turns into self-destruction. Enough is not settling. It's wisdom. It's recognizing that some things in life are never worth risking, no matter how attractive the potential reward looks. Your reputation, your freedom, your peace of mind, your family, and your relationships carry a value that no amount of money can replace once they are lost. Wealth that costs you your sleep, erodes your dignity, or distances you from the people you care about is not success. It's an expensive trade-off. True financial strength comes from knowing when to push forward, and just as importantly, knowing when to stop. Section 4. Compounding. Why time matters more than talent. Compounding is one of the most powerful forces in finance, and at the same time, one of the most misunderstood. People see the final results and assume they were caused by brilliance, genius, or extraordinary skill. What they usually miss is that compounding doesn't need dramatic moves to work. It needs time, patience, and the ability to stay consistent when nothing exciting seems to be happening. Small advantages, when sustained over long periods, can create outcomes so large that they feel almost unreal. A tiny edge, repeated again and again, quietly builds momentum. This principle doesn't apply only to money. It applies to habits, to relationships, to careers, and to personal growth. Small actions, done consistently, almost always outperform big actions done briefly. The biggest financial successes in history were rarely built by brilliance alone. They were built by people who started early and, more importantly, lasted long. They stayed in the game while others quit. They allowed time to do the heavy lifting. Talent may give you a head start, but time is what turns progress into something extraordinary. This is why consistency beats intensity. Short bursts of effort can feel productive, but they often fade just as quickly. Consistent effort, even when it feels boring or unimpressive, compounds quietly in the background. In the same way, time beats timing. Waiting for the perfect moment usually means waiting forever. Being present, invested, and patient almost always wins in the end. Trying to get rich fast often leads to ruin because speed requires risk, and risk increases the chance of interruption. And interruptions are the enemy of compounding. Building wealth slowly, patiently, and even boringly works far more often because it prioritizes survival over excitement. The real secret is not extraordinary returns or brilliant predictions. It's avoiding interruptions. It's staying invested, staying consistent, and staying calm long enough for compounding to reveal its true power. Section 5. Getting wealthy versus staying wealthy. Getting wealthy and staying wealthy are often treated as if they require the same mindset. In reality, they demand completely opposite skills, and confusing the two is one of the most common reasons people lose what they built. Getting rich usually rewards optimism, confidence, boldness, and a willingness to take risks. It favors those who believe things will work out, who are comfortable pushing forward despite uncertainty, and who are willing to act before they have complete information. But staying rich is a different game entirely. It requires humility, the understanding that past success does not guarantee future results. It requires a healthy dose of fear, not panic, but awareness of how quickly things can change. And it requires restraint, the ability to say no to opportunities that look exciting but carry the risk of undoing everything you've already achieved. These are opposite skills, and that's why so many people succeed once and fail permanently. They continue playing the getting rich game long after they should have switched to the staying rich mindset. They keep taking aggressive risks, assuming that what worked once will keep working forever. Eventually, randomness catches up, markets change, circumstances shift, and the margin for error disappears. Survival is the real edge in finance, not brilliance, not perfect timing, not extraordinary intelligence. If you can avoid catastrophic mistakes, the kind that permanently remove you from a game, you don't need genius to succeed. You need endurance. You need the ability to stay standing when others fall, to absorb shocks without collapsing, and keep moving forward even when progress feels slow. This is where the idea of room for error becomes critical. Leaving space for things to go wrong is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of wisdom. A financial life designed with no margin for error may look efficient, but it is fragile. One bad decision, one unlucky event, or one unexpected crisis can wipe it out entirely. Room for error keeps you in the game when randomness turns against you, and it will at some point. It allows you to recover instead of restarting from zero. It gives you time, flexibility, and emotional stability when conditions become hostile. In the long run, the people who stay wealthy are not the ones who chased every opportunity, but the ones who understood that lasting success depends less on how fast you grow and more on how well you protect what you already have. Section 6. Wealth is what you don't see. Real wealth is invisible, and that simple idea explains why so many people misunderstand money for most of their lives. We are naturally drawn to what we can see. We judge success by appearances, by symbols, by lifestyles that signal comfort and status. Expensive cars, large houses, luxury travel, and designer brands feel like proof that someone has made it. But these things are not wealth. They are the visible result of spending money, not of having it. True wealth exists quietly, in places most people never look. It's the money you didn't spend when temptation was strong. It's the upgrades you delayed, the unnecessary luxuries you skipped, and the discipline you maintained when your income increased, but your lifestyle didn't need to. Lifestyle inflation feels natural, even deserved, yet resisting it is one of the most powerful financial decisions a person can make. That resistance rarely looks impressive, but over time it creates distance. Distance from stress, from dependency, and from financial fragility. Wealth is also built from the risks you chose not to take. It's the opportunities you walk away from because they threaten your stability, even if they promise excitement or fast rewards. It's the investments you didn't chase, the leverage you didn't use, and the pressure you didn't give in to. Many financial disasters begin with stories that look brilliant in the beginning. We celebrate the risks that worked and ignore the countless others that quietly ruin lives. Real wealth grows not only by winning, but by not losing. This is why appearances are so misleading. We admire the car without seeing the loan attached to it. We admire the home without seeing the anxiety of maintaining it. We admire the lifestyle without seeing the thin margin holding it together. What's visible is often the most fragile part of someone's financial life. What's invisible, saving, flexibility, resilience, is what actually keeps them safe. True wealth gives you options, and options are one of the most valuable currencies in life. Options to change direction when something stops working. Options to walk away from bad situations. Options to take a break, to slow down, or to rethink your path without panic. This kind of wealth doesn't shout. It whispers, but it quietly shapes the quality of your life in ways money spent on status never can. Wealth is also time. Time you control, not time you sell out of necessity. Time to make decisions calmly instead of reactively. Time to be present with people you care about. Time to recover from mistakes without being forced into desperate choices. When money buys you time and peace of mind, it has reached its highest purpose. You can't see this kind of wealth, and that's exactly why it's powerful. It doesn't need approval, comparison, or recognition. It works in silence, protecting you from shocks, giving you freedom without display and stability without applause. In a world obsessed with what can be seen, understanding that real wealth is what you don't see may be one of the greatest financial advantages you can ever have. Section 7. Saving is about control, not returns. Saving is often misunderstood as a numbers game. People assume that saving more money is mainly about earning more, finding better investments, or discovering higher returns. But at its core, saving has very little to do with how much you make. It has everything to do with how much you need. Two people can earn the same income and end up in completely different financial realities, simply because one needs less to feel secure and satisfied. Your savings rate is not a reflection of your salary or your intelligence. It's a reflection of how much control you have over your desires. It shows how well you can separate what you want from what you actually need. Many people assume they can't save because they don't earn enough, but in reality, spending often rises to meet income. As earnings increase, expectations quietly rise with them, and saving disappears without anyone noticing where it went. This is why saving is fundamentally a behavioral skill. It's about the ability to delay gratification in a world designed to make immediate pleasure feel urgent and necessary. It's about resisting ego-driven spending, the kind of spending meant to impress others, signal success, or keep up appearances. Those purchases feel good in the moment, but they rarely add lasting value. Saving, on the other hand, feels boring, even uncomfortable at first, yet it builds something far more powerful beneath the surface. At its deepest level, saving is about prioritizing future freedom over present consumption. Every dollar saved is a small vote for flexibility. It's a quiet way of buying options. The option to walk away from a bad job, to handle an emergency without panic, or to make decisions calmly instead of under pressure. These benefits don't show up on bank statements, but they shape the quality of your life in profound ways. What makes saving so powerful is that it doesn't require perfect timing, specialized knowledge, or exceptional talent. You don't need to predict markets or chase high returns. You don't need to be smarter than others. You need discipline, self-awareness, and the ability to say no, not forever, but often enough to stay in control. And this is why saving is available to almost everyone, regardless of income level. The skill of managing desires, setting boundaries, and choosing long-term stability over short-term comfort can be learned and practiced. The amounts may differ, but the principle remains the same. Over time, consistent saving builds resilience. It creates distance between you and financial stress. It turns uncertainty into something manageable instead of overwhelming. In the end, saving isn't about deprivation. It's about independence. It's about designing a life where money serves you rather than one where you are constantly serving money. Section 8. Reasonable beats rational. One of the biggest mistakes people make with money is believing that the smartest plan is the most logical one. We are taught to search for the perfect strategy, the optimal allocation, the most efficient system, as if money were a purely mathematical puzzle waiting to be solved. But finance does not work in a laboratory. It works in real life, and real life is filled with emotions, uncertainty, stress, and imperfect behavior. The best financial plan is not the one that looks flawless on paper. It's the one you can actually stick with through fear, boredom, doubt, and temptation. A plan that demands perfect discipline, perfect timing, and perfect emotional control is fragile by design. It might work in theory, but it collapses the moment real life interferes. And real life always interferes. Perfect strategies fail because they assume people behave like machines. They assume you will stay calm during market crashes, ignore fear when losses appear, and remain confident when everyone around you is panicking. In reality, even the most intelligent people struggle under pressure. When money is at stake, logic often loses to emotion. This isn't a personal flaw, it's human nature. Reasonable decisions succeed because they respect this reality. They acknowledge that fear exists, that doubt will appear, and that confidence rises and falls over time. A reasonable plan leaves space for emotions without letting them take control. It is built not to maximize returns at all costs, but to maximize the chances that you will stay invested long enough for time and compounding to work in your favor. If a financial plan helps you sleep at night, that is not a weakness, it is a strength. If it allows you to avoid panic when markets fall, resist impulsive decisions, and continue forward without constant stress, then it is doing exactly what it should. A slightly less efficient strategy that you follow consistently will almost always outperform an optimal strategy that you abandon during moments of fear or uncertainty. This is why comfort matters in finance. Not comfort in spending, but comfort in behavior. When a plan aligns with your temperament, your risk tolerance, and your emotional limits, it becomes sustainable. When it ignores those limits, it eventually breaks. And when it breaks, it often does so at the worst possible moment. During downturns, crises, or periods of intense uncertainty, when abandoning the plan causes the most damage. Finance is not a math problem waiting for the right formula. It is a behavior problem that requires self-awareness, honesty, and humility. Success with money doesn't come from knowing what the perfect decision is. It comes from designing a system that works with who you are, not against it. And in the long run, being reasonable, not rational, is what keeps you moving forward. Section 9. Surprise is the normal state of the world. One of the most important truths about money and about life is that the future is shaped by events no one sees coming. History is not driven by what people confidently predict, but by what almost everyone fails to imagine. Economic crashes, wars, financial bubbles, technological breakthroughs, political upheavals. When they happen, they always arrive as surprises. And when we look back, we convince ourselves that the signs were obvious, even though almost no one acted on them at the time. This pattern repeats itself endlessly. Before every crisis, there is widespread confidence that this time is different. Before every collapse, there is a belief that risks are understood and controlled. And before every major breakthrough, there is skepticism that anything truly disruptive could occur. The future consistently humbles our predictions. The lesson here is not that forecasting is useless, but that relying on prediction as a foundation for financial security is dangerous. The world is simply too complex, too interconnected, and too influenced by human behavior to be accurately forecasted over long periods of time. Small events can trigger massive consequences. Random shocks can reshape entire economies. What feels stable today can become fragile tomorrow. That's why the real lesson is not prediction, it's preparation. Instead of trying to guess what will happen next, The smarter approach is to build a financial life that can survive a wide range of outcomes. Preparation accepts uncertainty as a permanent feature of reality, not a temporary inconvenience. It focuses on resilience rather than precision. Building a financial life that can absorb shocks means leaving room for things to go wrong. It means maintaining buffers, flexibility, and margins of safety. It means avoiding strategies that only work under perfect conditions. A system that collapses when surprise is not a strong system. It's a fragile one. Expecting change doesn't mean living in fear. It means staying adaptable. It means understanding that careers evolve, markets shift, and personal circumstances change in ways you cannot fully control. When you accept this, you stop anchoring your plans to a single outcome and start designing them to function across many possibilities. Planning for uncertainty is an act of realism, not pessimism. It allows you to respond thoughtfully instead of react emotionally when the unexpected happens. It gives you the ability to pause, assess, and adjust rather than panic. In a world where surprise is a normal state, the people who thrive are not those who predict the future best, but those who prepare for the widest range of futures. Section 10. Freedom is the ultimate dividend. The highest return money can ever offer is not a bigger house, a nicer car, or a more impressive lifestyle. It is something far quieter and far more powerful. Control over your time. While money is often measured in numbers, its true value is measured in freedom. The freedom to decide how your days unfold and what your life revolves around. Status, comparison, and excess are seductive distractions. They promise validation, admiration, and a sense of arrival. But these rewards are fragile. They depend on how others see you, how you rank against them, and how well you can keep up. The moment circumstances change, those rewards disappear, leaving pressure and anxiety behind. Freedom, on the other hand, does not rely on external approval. It exists independently of trends, opinions, and competition. Freedom is waking up without dread. It's choosing how you spend your morning instead of being forced into it. It's having the ability to slow down when you need to step away from situations that drain you, and to redirect your energy toward what actually matters. This kind of control doesn't announce itself. It doesn't look impressive from the outside, but from the inside, it changes everything. Money that buys freedom creates space. Space to think clearly, to make better decisions, and to live intentionally rather than reactively. It reduces the constant background stress that comes from financial dependence. It allows you to say no without fear, to wait without desperation, and to choose paths based on values instead of necessity. This is why freedom is the ultimate dividend. Unlike financial returns, it compounds in quality, not quantity. More freedom improves your health, your relationships, and your sense of meaning. It gives you time to rest, to learn, to grow, and to be present with the people you care about. And time, once lost, can never be recovered. A large bank balance without freedom often becomes a golden cage. A smaller balance paired with control over your time can feel like wealth beyond measure. When money serves as a tool to design your life, rather than a scorecard to measure yourself against others, it reaches its highest purpose. In the end, the most meaningful financial goal is not to accumulate endlessly, but to reach a point where money no longer dominates your decisions, where it supports your life instead of controlling it. That quiet ability to wake up and choose how you spend your day is worth more than any number you could ever see on a bank statement. Putting it all together, money is emotional, messy, human. Success with money has less to do with intelligence and more to do with humility, patience, restraint, and self-awareness. If you understand your behavior and design your financial life around it, you don't need to be extraordinary. You just need to survive, stay consistent, and know when enough is enough. If this video gave you a new perspective on money, subscribe for more deep, practical insights that can genuinely improve your life. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.